super good morning and wishing you a terrific Tuesday ahead. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Wealth. The first freight rail network linking Mexico, the US and Canada. Deliveroo backed by Amazon sets IPO price range, and Biden's next $3 trillion plan. Those are the three things that we will talk about. US stocks climbed on Monday as gains in technology stocks powered the Nasdaq higher. The tech-heavy index rose 1.2%, recovering some ground after it declined last week. The S&P 500 was up 0.7%, while the Dow Jones was up 0.3%. Investors continued to train their attention on bond markets after a drop in the price of US government debt last week. 10-year Treasury notes recovered some ground on Monday, sending yields down to about 1.68 from 1.72 on Friday. Remember, yields fall when bond prices rise. Yields have climbed for 7 consecutive weeks, denting segments of the stock market that have benefited from several years of low interest rates. Tech stocks in particular have suffered from the jump in long-term borrowing cost. Simple way to think about it is future earnings are worth less when bond yields rise. Investors have kept a close eye on the Federal Reserve to see whether it will address the rise in bond yields, but the US Central Bank has so far indicated that it isn't concerned. On the data front, new data showed sales of previously owned homes fell about 6.6% in February from the previous month, a steeper decline than what economists had expected amid tight inventory and severe weather in parts of the country. Still, the Feb sales marked a 9.1% increase from a year earlier. This is according to National Association of Realtors. The US housing market has boomed in the past year as buyers took advantage of low interest rates, and the pandemic prompted new demand for homes with space to work remotely. Tech was the best performing sector of the S&P 500 on Monday. In all 7 of the index's 11 sectors were in positive territory. Financial stocks were the worst performing sector. On the corporate deals front, Canadian Pacific Railway agreed to purchase Kansas City Southern over the weekend for about $25 billion in a deal that could create the first freight rail network linking Mexico, the US and Canada. When trading opened on Monday morning, the market rallied right on schedule. Kansas City Southern shares were up 11% for the day, while the New York listed shares of Canadian Pacific slid about 5.8%. On the currencies front, Turkish lira slumped about 7.5% to 7.80 per dollar after President Erdogan unexpectedly fired the country's top central banker late last week. Turkish stock market also tumbled on the news. The benchmark fell by about 9.8%. Staying around the region, Euro Stoxx 600 ticked up 0.2%. Shares of AstraZeneca advanced 3.3% after the British drug maker said its COVID-19 vaccine was shown to be safe and 79% effective in preventing symptomatic disease in US clinical trials. Asian markets were mixed. Shanghai Composite was up 1.1% while Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 0.4%, but Japan's Nikkei 225 was down 2.1%. In other corporate news, Deliveroo, backed by Amazon, set a price range for its planned London listing with an upward valuation of about $12 billion, posing a test for continued investor appetite in the online food delivery business. In December, US peer DoorDash priced its initial public offering at about $102 a share, easily surpassing the San Francisco company's expected price range of about $90 to $95. Part of their enthusiasm was due to the explosion of home delivery brought by the coronavirus pandemic. But as vaccinations increase in many rich countries, including the US and Deliveroo's home market, which is the UK, it's unclear how sustainable delivery growth will be if people start to flock back to restaurants. Deliveroo plans to raise about £1 billion, equivalent to about $1.4 billion, following the issuance of these new shares. As part of the offering, Deliveroo said existing shareholders will also sell a portion of their stakes, but that money won't go to the company. Amazon owns about 16% in Deliveroo. It couldn't be determined whether Amazon and other existing shareholders will sell down any of their portions as part of the IPO. Typically, those decisions are made depending on the demand and the pricing of the offering. Deliveroo on Monday set a price range for its listing of between 3.90 and 4.60 pound a share, which could give it a market value of anywhere between 7.6 billion to 8.8 billion pound, or 10.5 billion to 12 billion US dollar. Amazon led a 575 million investment in the company back in May 2019, several months after closing down its own restaurant delivery service business in the UK, and became the startup's biggest investor. That investment round valued Deliveroo at about 3.5 billion. Certainly a big jump in valuations in the 2 years that Amazon has invested. Lastly, the Biden administration is considering as much as 3 trillion worth of measures to include in the long-term economic program that will follow the 1.9 trillion pandemic relief bill signed earlier this month. The proposal will be presented to Joe Biden this week. Infrastructure and climate change have long been described as key efforts in the pending program, and the new details show the administration is eyeing some 400 billion for so-called green spending. The plan also addresses investing in human capital with tuition reductions among minorities, along with healthcare initiatives. This is what's getting reported at Bloomberg. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll speak to you.